Members, I rise today to honor the life and the work and the indelible mark of a civil rights legislator, former California State Senator, and longtime Los Angeles City Councilman, the Honorable Nathan Nathaniel Holden, Nate Holden. Mr. Holden was born in Georgia on June 19th, 1929. He grew up as a boxer, defeating competitors at local camps, growing inside him a fighter spirit that he carried all 95 years he walked this earth. In 1946, he quit high school and lied about his age to enlist in the U.S. Army at the age of 16, where he became a military policeman, where he served our country with honor and courage at a time when black veterans weren't treated with the same. He was a World War II hero. When Mr. Holden returned home, he earned a high school diploma. At night school, he studied design and engineering at West Coast University. He worked as an aerospace engineer, which is what brought him to California. This brother was a boxer, a veteran, and a rocket scientist. He was elected to the Senate in 1974, where he authored a bill which made California the first state to recognize Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as a state holiday that we all celebrate every year. He also co-authored California's Housing Financial Discrimination Act, known as the Holden Act, which prohibited financial institutions from discriminating based on race, religion, sex, or marital status. To say that a different way, women in California could not get a mortgage without their husband on the application until Mr. Holden wrote this legislation. He championed civil rights and community development throughout his career. Public service to him wasn't just a job, it was a purpose that he carried on all 95 years he walked this earth. He was always in service. He was a spokesman for the poor, the middle class in South Central and Southwestern Los Angeles areas. Due to his work in the community, the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center stands on Washington Boulevard today, named after him in 2003. I met Mr. Holden 5 or so years ago. I was his assembly member. I was running for office, and the first endorser I had in the state legislature was a former majority leader, Chris Holden. And the first thing he told me about running for office is, "You should call my dad." And I kind of blew it off and started calling other people. And I saw Chris again, and he said, "You should call my dad." And so one day I called his dad, thinking there's no way Nate Holden's just sitting by the phone waiting for my phone call. And sure enough, he was. And he answered, and he knew exactly who I was despite our 63-year age difference. And he gave me some advice that day about working hard and championing the people. And it was then that I noticed afterwards, I saw Nate Holden everywhere. In his 90s, but he was at the opening of the K-Line in Leimert Park on Crenshaw. Here comes Nate Holden. I saw him at the Performing Arts Theater named after him when the vice president came to town to speak with then candidate Karen Bass, running for Los Angeles mayor. Rumor has it Nate Holden was driving last year at 94. My favorite memory of Mr. Holden is one that I found was shared amongst many of us. And that is that if you were doing something wrong, he was going to tell you. And I had a moment one time where he disagreed with the decision that I was going to make or that I had made, and he told me about it. And I kind of stood up to him. And I realized in that moment we became as close as we were ever going to be. And I think that's when he liked me. Because I didn't just back down, and he knew I was coming from a righteous place. I remember calling Chris afterwards saying, "Man, I just got it from your dad." And he said, "Welcome to the club." Mr. Holden was a champion in our community. He served the neighborhood. There are many legacy monuments and buildings and structures and churches that would not exist without him. He was an example of hope and promise. He kept our streets safe, launched the largest gun buyback program, possibly in the country's history, but certainly in California's history. I'm very proud to be one of the last legislators he was able to touch on his time here. And I'm grateful that I was able to be touched by him. And I think the entire state of California and this state house is better having been touched by Nate Holden. And I respectfully ask that we adjourn in his memory. Surviving him are Reginald Holden, his son, and the Honorable Chris Holden, who's with us here in the chamber.